Okay, I'm back with an unpopular opinion. And this is directly about Dr. Gay. Before we run, again, unpopular opinion, before we run to the aid of a Black person simply because they're Black and try to protect them from white tyranny, let's examine the facts. The fact is, Dr. Claudine Gay served as the president of an organization. She served as the president of Harvard University. When you serve as a president, there is the expectation of leadership. Leadership involves making very unpopular decisions. The issue at hand here is not whether or not she plagiarized. That became an issue later. The issue is that she did not shut down anti-Semitic behavior. That's the issue. While she didn't condone it, she did use free speech to ignore it. That's the problem. Now, freedom of speech is undoubtedly important in higher education. There's no question about that. Freedom of speech is important in general. However, hate speech is not the same thing. It's also not protected, and we know that. So if a student was engaging, an employee was engaging, whomever was engaging and using hate speech, that should have been shut down, because as a leader, your responsibility is to create safe environments. This is a huge conversation right now. Safety. There was no safety. Being able to express yourself is one thing. Promoting hate, promoting violence is not. So she never said, I promote this, I encourage this, but she didn't shut it down. That's the issue. If you are an employee, you are a student, you're a contractor, if you're a squirrel on Harvard's campus, you need to follow the policies and procedures of said campus. The reason we have policies and procedures is because people go rogue and will do whatever they want to. And we know that in order to operate in a society, in a community, there has to be rules, regulations. There has to be policies, including the non-discrimination and anti-bullying policy that Harvard has in place. So what we were originally talking about with Dr. Gay wasn't necessarily about her as a Black woman being attacked. It was a question of leadership. I would expect any leader, regardless of their race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, whether they're vegan, vegetarian, I don't care. Anyone who did not shut down violent behavior or the promotion of violence, the promotion of hatred, I would expect anyone in a leadership role to be questioned. That is more than fair. That is a solid expectation. So for me, the question is not whether or not she was qualified as a professor, right? Whether or not she's been attacked because she's Black. My question is whether or not she was qualified to lead. Because that's a no-brainer. The response, from my perspective, should have been, hey, at Harvard, we don't roll that way. We don't do that. You're welcome to do whatever it is when you are not engaging as a student of this campus, of this university, when you are not engaged as an employee, so on and so forth. That's where she went wrong. She did not shut that down. What bothers me so much is that should have been the only conversation. This has spun so out of control when that should have been the only conversation. That should have been the only focus. That was more than enough to address. Questioning her leadership, right? Because then we can get into her as a leader. Have there been other challenges on campus where she failed to take action? Has nothing to do with being Black or a woman. What has she implemented as the president that has been effective or ineffective? Those are fair questions to ask. The fact that Harvard allowed this witch hunt to take place and discredit her as an academic is not okay. Questioning her as a leader would have been completely fine, because that was a leadership decision that she made. Therefore, that's how she should have been judged. This was a huge miss. And every time someone comes out and focuses simply on the fact that she's Black and doesn't acknowledge the leadership component, we're taking steps backwards. We're allowing this to be solely about race. We're allowing this to be solely about gender, and it's not. This should have remained about her leadership ability. Why was that so hard? Because we are highly sensitive and we are highly emotional when it comes to race. It's as if this person is incapable of being held accountable for their actions because they're Black or because they're a woman. That's absolutely not how we make progress. In no way, shape, or form are we going in the right direction if we can't address the issue at hand and force the issue at hand to remain the only thing that we discuss or talk about. And that is where Harvard 100% should have stepped in.